If you think a little muscle loss after 60 is just part aging, think again. What if I told you it could quietly be draining your strength, stealing your independence, and even putting your life at risk? Let's talk about something nobody warns you about enough. Muscle loss after 60. Not the kind that makes it harder to lift a heavy box, but the kind that sneaks up on you. You wake up one day and realize that getting out of the chair feels harder. Climbing stairs leaves you winded, and before you know it, your favorite hobbies feel like too much work. That's not just aging, that's muscle loss doing damage behind the scenes. In this video, we're digging into why losing muscle after 60 is more dangerous than most people realize. You'll learn how it affects your energy, balance, metabolism, even your brain. And more importantly, we'll talk about what you can do about it, starting today. Let's start with something that catches most people off guard: the connection between muscle and independence. Because here's the truth, losing muscle isn't just about looking or feeling weaker. It's about losing the ability to live on your terms. You see, every small task you do in a day, standing up, reaching overhead, walking to the mailbox, relies on muscle strength. When that fades, little things become hard, then harder, and eventually they stop happening altogether. That's how people who used to be active suddenly find themselves sitting more, doing less, and becoming dependent on others. And when that happens, it's not just your body that suffers, your mind does too. Because let's be honest, none of us want to feel like we're a burden. We want to move freely, do what we enjoy, and live with dignity. And muscle loss can quietly chip away at all of that. The less you move, the more you lose. And the more you lose, the harder it becomes to get it back. But here's where things get even trickier. Most people assume they're fine because they're still walking, still doing chores, maybe even gardening on weekends. But the problem is that muscle loss doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, subtle. You might not notice it until your legs feel shaky or your grip feels weak. And by then, you're already playing catch up. Now, let me tell you something most doctors don't say nearly enough. After 60, you start losing muscle at a faster rate, up to 3 to 5% per decade. But if you're inactive, that number goes up even faster. And unlike a pulled muscle or a scraped knee, this isn't something your body will fix on its own. It takes intention, effort, and action. Let's talk about the second danger: how muscle loss messes with your balance and puts you at risk for falls. And no, I'm not being dramatic here. Falls are the leading cause of injury in older adults. Not illness, not accidents, falls. And do you know what most falls have in common? Poor muscle strength. Think about it. When you walk, your body makes tiny adjustments to keep you upright. Your legs, your core, even your feet, they're constantly working in the background to keep you stable. But when your muscles are weak, those tiny adjustments become harder. Your reflexes slow down, your step gets shorter, your posture slouches. And just like that, a rug, a stair, or a curb becomes a real threat. And falling once after 60, it's not always something you bounce back from. A hip fracture can take months to recover. Sometimes it leads to surgery, a nursing home stay, or worse, losing the ability to live at home altogether. I've seen people who are full of life take a hard fall and never fully come back from it. That's how fast it can happen. But don't worry, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you that you can do something about it. Muscle loss isn't a death sentence. It's a wake-up call, a signal that it's time to put your health back in your hands. Now, let's shift gears for a second, because there's another layer most people never think about. Losing muscle doesn't just affect your strength or balance. It also slows down your metabolism. That's right. The more muscle you have, the more calories your body burns, even at rest. That's why some people say they gain weight just by looking at food after 60. It's not just age. It's muscle loss slowing the engine down. When you have less muscle, your body burns fewer calories, even if you're eating the same way you did before. That extra energy, it gets stored as fat. And more fat, especially around the belly, leads to more inflammation, more insulin resistance, and more risk for things like diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. So here we are, weak muscles, higher risk of falling, slow metabolism, and increased fat storage. It's like a perfect storm. But again, and I can't say this enough, it's not too late. Whether you're 60, 70, or even 80, your muscles are still capable of getting stronger. That's the beautiful part. Your body wants to work for you. You just have to give it the chance. And it doesn't mean lifting heavy weights at the gym or doing backflips. It could be as simple as bodyweight exercises at home, carrying groceries a little more intentionally, or taking short walks that include a few hills or stairs. The goal isn't to become a bodybuilder. The goal is to stay strong enough to live life on your own terms, to pick up your grandchild, take a vacation, or open a jar without help. Muscle is your armor, your foundation. And the best part? You can build it with just a few minutes a day. Now that we've laid the groundwork and talked about how muscle loss affects your strength, your independence, your balance, and even your metabolism, let's keep going. There's still more to uncover about how this quiet threat impacts your health and what you can start doing today to fight back. Because the truth is, when your muscle mass drops, it doesn't just stop at making you feel a little weaker. It quietly affects nearly every major system in your body, including the one most people never think about until it's too late: your immune system. That's right. Your muscles are deeply connected to how well your body defends itself. Most people think the immune system lives only in your white blood cells or your lymph nodes, but here's what they don't realize. Your muscles actually produce proteins called myokines. These are little messengers that help fight inflammation and infection. When your muscle mass is strong, these myokines are released during movement, kind of like your body's natural way of keeping the engine clean and the gears running smoothly. But when muscle breaks down, the production of these helpful messengers slows down. And when that happens, inflammation builds up. You might notice more joint pain, more colds, slower recovery from illnesses. It's subtle at first, but over time it takes a toll. Ever wonder why some people over 60 seem to bounce back from surgery, colds, or even stressful life events, while others spiral into months of fatigue, brain fog, or mobility issues? A big part of that difference is how much muscle they are going into it. And it's not just about colds and recovery. Chronic inflammation is behind a long list of issues: diabetes, arthritis, dementia, even some cancers. And losing muscle is like giving that inflammation a green light. Let's pause for a moment here, because I know this might feel a little heavy. But here's the thing. I'm not telling you all this to worry you. I'm telling you because awareness is power. When you know what's happening, you can do something about it. And that's the exciting part, because you're not powerless here. In fact, you're holding the most powerful tool in the world, and that's the ability to move, to take action, even small action. Let me tell you about a woman named Martha. She was 72 when she realized she couldn't carry her laundry basket upstairs without stopping to rest halfway. That scared her, because just a few years earlier, she was traveling, hiking, and doing just fine. But she didn't let it stop her. She started walking every morning for 10 minutes, then 15, then 20. Eventually, she added a light resistance band workout 3 times a week. Nothing fancy, no gym membership, just slow and steady movement. Within 6 months, not only could she carry the laundry up the stairs again, she was walking with friends, standing taller and sleeping better. She said the change didn't happen all at once, but it felt like waking up. Stories like Martha's aren't rare. They happen when people decide to take back control, and you can do the same. Now, I want to talk about something else that surprises most people: the connection between muscle and mental clarity. That's right, losing muscle doesn't just affect your body, it affects your brain, too. Studies have shown that people with more muscle mass tend to have better cognitive function. That includes memory, focus, and even mood. Why? Because physical activity increases blood flow, not just to your legs and arms, but to your brain. It helps nourish those brain cells, keeping them alert and connected. It also reduces stress hormones and increases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. So if you've been feeling more forgetful lately, or if your energy and motivation just aren't what they used to be, it might not just be age. It could be your body signaling that it needs more strength, more movement, more attention. And let me say this clearly, it's not your fault. We live in a world that tells older adults to slow down, take it easy, rest more. And while rest has its place, what we really need after 60 is movement with purpose. Not intense, punishing workouts, not hours at the gym, just intentional movement that keeps your muscles engaged and your mind sharp. Even walking briskly while swinging your arms, doing gentle squats from a sturdy chair, or standing on one leg while brushing your teeth. Those are all little actions that build strength, coordination, and confidence. You don't need perfect form or fancy equipment. You just need consistency and a reason why. And here's your reason. Because you matter, your health matters. Your ability to live on your own terms, without fear, without relying on others, that matters. And staying strong is one of the most powerful ways to protect that freedom. And that brings me to one more thing people don't talk about enough: how muscle loss affects your confidence. Not just in how you look, but in how you feel, the way you carry yourself, the belief you have in your ability to move through the world safely. I've talked to countless folks over 60 who say they don't go out as much anymore. They avoid crowded places. They stop doing things they used to love. Not because they don't want to, but because they're scared they'll fall or get tired or need help. And that's heartbreaking, because life isn't meant to shrink. It's meant to expand, even at 60, 70, 80, and beyond. You deserve to feel confident walking into a store, gardening in your yard, dancing at a wedding, playing with your grandkids, and building muscle. Even just a little gives you that edge, that spark, that feeling that says, I've got this, and you do have this, no matter where you're starting from. Whether you've been active for years or haven't moved much in a while, your body is ready to respond. It just needs a signal, a reason, and a little love. So don't let another day pass thinking this is just part of getting older. It's not. It's something you can change, starting with small steps that add up in a big way. Strength isn't just for athletes. It's for you, for your life, your goals, your joy. You see, when you start to feel stronger, even just a little, it changes more than just your body. It changes your mindset. You start walking taller, breathing deeper, and looking forward to your day with a little more energy and a lot more purpose. That's the part no one talks about. We get so focused on numbers, weight, cholesterol, blood pressure, that we forget how much our quality of life is tied to how strong we feel. Now let's talk about something that really gets overlooked: how quickly muscle can disappear when you're not paying attention, and how hard it can be to get it back once it's gone. It's called sarcopenia. That's the fancy term for age-related muscle loss, and can start as early as your 50s. But by the time you're in your 60s and beyond, it picks up speed. The scary part? It doesn't take years for muscle to waste away. It can start within weeks of being inactive. Let's say you catch a cold and spend a few days mostly sitting or lying down, or you take a break from walking because your knee's been acting up. Maybe you had a minor surgery and needed a little rest. That short window of inactivity, it can cause noticeable muscle decline in just 10 days. 10 days. That's how fragile our strength becomes as we age. And the older we get, the longer it takes to build it back. That's why staying consistent, moving a little each day, is so important. Even short breaks in activity can set you back if you're not mindful. And no, this doesn't mean you should be afraid to rest or take it easy when you need to. Rest has its place. Recovery matters. But what matters even more is that you don't let that rest turn into a long pause, because a long pause can quietly turn into decline. And that's when independence slips through your fingers. Now here's something else to consider. Muscle isn't just about motion. It plays a major role in stability. I'm not just talking about balance. I'm talking about the strength it takes to support your joints, hold your spine in alignment, and keep your entire body working as one unified machine. A lot of chronic pain that seniors feel, like aching knees, sore backs, stiff hips, can actually be traced back to weak muscles. When your muscles are strong, they take the load off your joints. They support your movements so that your bones and tendons don't have to do all the work. But when those muscles start to fade, your joints take the hit. Suddenly, walking hurts. Sitting too long stiffens you up. Getting out of bed in the morning feels like wrestling gravity, and that creates a vicious cycle. Pain makes you want to move less, but moving less causes more weakness, and more weakness leads to even more pain. That's why strength is the antidote, not just for mobility, but for pain management too. When your muscles are doing their job, your body doesn't have to fight so hard to get through the day, and you don't need to do a lot to feel those benefits. In fact, just 2 or 3 short strength sessions a week, 10 or 15 minutes at a time, can make a big difference. Think of movements like standing up from a chair without using your hands, gently lifting cans or water bottles, or doing a few heel raises while brushing your teeth. It's not about how heavy, it's about how consistent. Here's something I always say: it's not the intensity that changes your life, it's the intention. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to show up, even on the days when you don't feel like it, especially on those days. And don't worry about looking silly or not knowing what to do. Everyone starts somewhere. Everyone. The most important thing is to start with what feels doable for you. Maybe you can't do squats yet, but you can do seated leg lifts. Maybe you can't go for a long walk, but you can walk around the house a few times during commercial breaks. That's how strength builds, step by step. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention: the emotional toll of muscle loss. Because yes, it impacts your mood, but it also affects your identity. Think about it. For years, maybe decades, you were someone who took care of others, someone who worked, raised a family, fixed things around the house, played with your grandkids, cooked meals, helped friends. Then slowly, over time, you start to feel like you can't do as much. Maybe you feel like you're slowing down, needing help with things you used to do on your own. And that's hard. That hits deep. It's not just physical, it's personal. It can make you feel invisible, like your best days are behind you. But they're not. They are not. Because you're still here. You're still breathing. You still have choices. And every day you wake up is a new chance to make one of those choices a strong one. Don't let society convince you that slowing down is just part of the deal after 60. Sure, you might move differently. You might need to adapt a little. But strength doesn't have an expiration date. Confidence doesn't have a time limit. And dignity, that never goes away unless you let it. So here's the shift in thinking. You're not too old to get strong. You're wise enough to get strong in the smartest way possible. You know your body. You've been through things. You know how to listen to yourself. And you know that the best time to start is the moment you realize something needs to change. You don't need a gym. You don't need a personal trainer. You don't need the approval of anyone else. You just need a decision. A decision to stop letting weakness steal your days and start letting strength build your future. Because you're not here just to survive. You're here to live fully, freely, and without fear. Now I know this might feel like a lot to take in. Muscle loss, metabolism, pain, even your immune system. It's a lot to connect. But if there's one thing I hope you walk away with, it's this. Muscle isn't just for the young, and strength isn't a luxury. It's your right. It's your power. And it's something you can reclaim no matter where you're starting from. The good news is you don't have to overhaul your life or make huge changes overnight. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to be pain-free. What you need is momentum, a spark, a reminder that your body is still capable of amazing things, even if it moves a little slower now, even if it's been a while. So let's talk about how you start, because that's the part that trips people up the most. The truth is, it starts with just one decision, one small action. Maybe today, it's standing up from your chair without using your hands. Maybe tomorrow, it's taking a 10-minute walk around the block. Maybe next week, it's picking up some light dumbbells or a can of soup and doing a few gentle curls while watching your favorite show. And yes, you'll feel a little sore in the beginning. That's your body waking up. That's a good sign. That means your muscles are responding. They're saying, finally, we're being used again. But here's the key. Listen to your body, not your pride. Don't push to the point of pain. Don't compare yourself to where you were 20 years ago. This is about where you are now and what you can do today. And every time you move, you're sending a message to your body that says, we're not done yet. Every time you stretch, lift, or walk with purpose, you're building resilience. One rep, one step, one deep breath at a time. You may be wondering, how long does it take to start seeing a difference? And here's the honest answer. Not as long as you think. Most people begin to feel improvements in energy, posture, and even mood within a few weeks of consistent movement. You'll notice your clothes fitting differently. Maybe you're standing up taller, breathing deeper, walking with more confidence. These little signs add up, and they remind you that your efforts are working. And it's not just the physical changes, it's the mental shift. When you feel strong, you show up differently in your life. You say yes to more. You engage more. You take back control. And let's not forget, strength protects you in emergencies, too. A strong body can help you recover faster from illness. It can help you avoid serious injury if you stumble or trip. It can even mean the difference between staying in your home versus needing assisted care. These are big things, life-changing things, and they all come back to muscle. Now, if you're thinking, but I have arthritis, or my balance isn't great, or I've never exercised before, I hear you, and you're not alone. There are millions of people in your shoes. That's why your strength plan has to match your life. Start with seated exercises. Use a wall for support. Try resistance bands instead of weights. There are so many gentle, joint-friendly ways to rebuild muscle that won't leave you feeling beat up or discouraged. The goal isn't to be the strongest person in the room. It's to be strong enough for your life, to carry your groceries, to get off the floor if you need to dance at a family wedding, to live without fear of losing your footing, literally or figuratively. And as you rebuild your strength, something beautiful happens. You start to feel hopeful again. You start to believe that there's more life ahead of you, not just behind you. That's what muscle gives you, not just movement, but meaning. You've worked hard your whole life. You've taken care of others, faced challenges, built a life you're proud of. You deserve to enjoy it, to keep enjoying it. And staying strong is how you protect that joy. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the right time to start taking care of your body, this is it. Right now, not next month, not when the weather's better, not when you feel more motivated. Now, because your body is always listening. And even the smallest effort today can create a ripple that changes the rest of your life. You have so much left to experience, so many little moments still waiting for you. Sunny walks, deep conversations, birthdays, hugs, laughter. Don't let weakness hold you back from them. Build the strength to be there for the things and people that matter most. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There are communities, support groups, YouTube channels, even local senior centers, where people just like you are on the same journey. Reach out, get support, share your progress, celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Because this isn't about what you can't do anymore. It's about what you can do next. So go ahead, take that first step today. Stretch your arms overhead. Take a deep breath. Tell yourself, I'm ready, because you are. And if this video spoke to you, if it helped you feel a little more hopeful, or gave you that nudge you've been needing, go ahead and share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear where you're starting from. What's one small thing you're going to do today to get stronger? Let's support each other in this. And if you haven't already, go ahead and tap that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss a chance to learn something that can make your life better. We've got more helpful videos on staying healthy, living with purpose, and building the kind of life that feels good at every age. Because your best years, they're not behind you. They're just getting warmed up. Here's to living strong, aging well, and feeling proud of the person you see in the mirror. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.